The red sun was setting over the dusty plains of Verda. The sky burned bright orange, casting long shadows across the broken ruins of the old city. Finn moved carefully between the shattered walls and rusted machines. The air was dry and still, filled with the scent of metal and earth. He had been wandering the planet for days, searching for supplies and a way off this forgotten place. Verda was not a welcoming world. It was far from the crowded human colonies and trade routes. The planet was scarred by years of mining and battles between rival factions. Many who came here never left. Finn knew this well, but he had a job to do and a promise to keep. As he walked through the ruins, a faint sound caught his attention. It was soft and scared, almost like a whisper. Finn stopped and listened. There it was again. Quiet voices, pleading. He moved toward the sound, his heart beating faster. Around a corner behind a pile of rubble, he found them. 4 children huddled together, their eyes wide with fear. Their skin was blue and smooth, shining slightly in the fading light. They wore ragged clothes torn from better days. The youngest clutched a broken toy in trembling hands. "Please," one of them said, her voice trembling. "Don't leave us, human, please." Finn froze. They called him human like it was a rare thing here. He had seen many alien races in his travels, but the Terrene children were unlike any he had met before. There was something in their eyes, hope mixed with desperation. "Who are you?" Finn asked softly, kneeling down to their level. The children looked at him carefully. One stepped forward, a boy with bright eyes and a determined face. "My name is Rin," he said. "These are my friends, Mako, Lyra, and Jek. We are the last of the Terrene." Finn's chest tightened. He had heard stories about the Terrene, peaceful people who had once lived on a world far from Verda. Now their race was almost gone, hunted and hunted until none remained. The children's words confirmed his worst fears. "Why are you hiding here?" Finn asked, glancing around for signs of danger. "They want to capture us," Lyra whispered. "Hunters. They offer millions of credits for our heads." Finn's eyes darkened. The galaxy was full of mercenaries and criminals, but this was something worse. The hunters did not want to kill the children. They wanted them alive. For what, Finn did not know. But he understood one thing clearly. These kids were in grave danger. "How long have you been here?" he asked. "Since the attack," Mako answered. "They came at night and destroyed our home. We ran. We don't know where to go." Finn looked at the children's frightened faces. They were alone in a hostile world with no one to protect them. But now they had him. "You're not alone anymore," he said firmly. "I will keep you safe." The children looked up at Finn, hope shining in their eyes for the first time. But Finn knew this was only the beginning. The hunters would not stop until they had the children. Verda was no place for 4 lost kids and 1 lone human. They needed to leave, and fast. The sun disappeared behind the horizon. Darkness swallowed the ruins, and the temperature dropped quickly. Finn built a small fire to keep the children warm. They sat close, sharing stories of their lost home and their dreams of a safe place. Finn listened carefully, feeling a strange mix of sadness and determination. Rin spoke of the Terrene's peaceful villages, where the skies were clear and the rivers flowed like silver. Mako talked about the games they used to play near the glowing forests. Lyra dreamed of a day when they could live without fear. And Jek, the smallest, smiled weakly, trusting Finn more than anyone else. But even in their stories, the shadow of danger loomed. The hunters would come for them soon. Finn knew the only way to keep the children alive was to find a way off Verda. The problem was that the planet was vast and mostly unexplored. Communication with the outside world was weak and rescue seemed impossible. He needed a plan. The next morning, Finn explored the nearby area. The ruins stretched farther than he had expected. Broken buildings, collapsed tunnels, and rusted vehicles created a maze that could hide enemies or allies. Finn moved silently, scanning for threats. Suddenly a noise echoed through the air, a distant roar followed by the sharp crackle of weapons. The hunters were close. Finn hurried back to the children, his mind racing. "We don't have much time," he said. "We have to move." Rin stood up, nodding. "Where will we go?" "There's an old underground cave system nearby," Finn explained. "It's dangerous, but it will hide us. From there we can try to reach the spaceport. It's abandoned, but the ships might still work." The children looked uncertain but trusted Finn's judgment. Together they gathered what little food and supplies they could carry and began the long walk toward the caves. The journey was difficult. The caves were dark and cold, filled with strange sounds and shadows. The children clung to Finn as they moved deeper underground. Mako stumbled several times, but Finn helped him up with a smile. Along the way, Finn noticed something unusual. The children seemed to have small gifts. Lyra could sense danger before it happened, often stopping them from stepping into traps or falling rocks. Rin had a quiet strength that gave him courage. Jack surprised Finn with his speed, able to move through narrow tunnels quickly. Mako had a strange glow in his eyes when he focused. Finn didn't understand their abilities, but he knew they made the children special. They might be the key to survival, but the hunters were relentless. Dax, the leader of the mercenaries, was a ruthless man with cold eyes. He had sent his best trackers and soldiers to find the children, offering millions of credits to anyone who brought them in alive. The hunters wanted the children's unique genetics or secrets. They did not care who got hurt along the way. As the hunters closed in, Finn realized they were not just running from danger. They were running toward a future that could change the galaxy. That night, as the group rested in the caves, Finn sat outside, staring at the stars through a crack in the rock. The children were safe for now, but the road ahead was long and dangerous. He promised himself he would protect them, no matter the cost. The stars above Verda seemed distant and cold, but Finn felt something stronger inside. A hope that humans and Taurine could stand together against the darkness. "Don't leave us." "Human," the children whispered once more. Finn smiled and replied, "I'm not going anywhere." The cold cave walls echoed with faint sounds as Finn led the 4 children deeper underground. The shadows danced around them, and every step felt heavier than the last. The air was thick with dust and mystery, but it was safer here than on the open surface where the hunters roamed freely. Finn's sharp eyes scanned every corner, every crack for signs of danger. Rin, Mako, Lyra, and Jek followed closely. Their small hands gripped Finn's clothing, their faces pale but trusting. The cave was dark, yet the children's strange blue skin seemed to glow softly, lighting their path in the gloom. Lyra paused often, her face tightening as she sensed something ahead. Finn noticed her trembling but said nothing. He knew fear well enough. "How long do you think they will follow us?" Rin asked quietly, breaking the silence. Finn shook his head. "They won't stop until they find you. They have money riding on it. Millions of credits." Mako swallowed hard. "Why do they want us so badly?" Finn thought for a moment. "I don't know exactly, but they believe your race has something special, something worth capturing." The children looked at one another. Fear flickered in their eyes again. Finn hated that feeling, but he had to be strong for them. As they moved deeper into the cave, strange shapes began to emerge. Glowing crystals lined the walls, casting a pale light on jagged rocks and narrow tunnels. The cave system was vast, older than anything Finn had ever seen. It twisted and turned like a giant labyrinth hidden beneath the planet. Finn knew that the hunters were dangerous, but this place held its own secrets. He hoped it would protect the children, even if only for a little while. Lyra suddenly stopped and pointed ahead. "There," she whispered. Finn crept forward carefully. A faint noise came from a side tunnel. It was soft but steady, voices and the sound of footsteps. The hunters were close. "We have to move faster," Finn said urgently. The children nodded and quickened their pace. Jack, usually quiet, held tightly to Finn's hand and looked up at him with determination. Hours passed as they weaved through the caves. Finn grew tired, but he pushed himself harder. He could not let the children down. Their small faces, full of hope and fear, reminded him why he had to keep going. Suddenly, they reached a large cavern filled with strange plants that glowed faintly in the dark. The air smelled fresh here, like life itself. Finn let the children rest for a moment. Rin asked, "How do you know so much about caves, human?" Finn smiled weakly. "I've explored a few places. It helps to keep moving and to stay quiet." Mako looked at Finn with wide eyes. "Are you always this brave?" Finn laughed softly. "No, sometimes I'm scared too. But bravery isn't about not feeling fear. It's about doing what needs to be done even when you're afraid." The children listened, comforted by his words. For a moment, the hunters felt far away. But safety was only temporary. The distant sounds of pursuit grew louder once again. Finn knew the hunters had found their trail. The mercenaries were skilled, and they would not give up easily. Finn stood, signaling the children to follow. "We have to keep moving. There is an old mine shaft nearby. It might lead us closer to the spaceport." The children followed without hesitation. They trusted Finn, their only hope. As they entered the mine shaft, the air grew colder and dustier. The tunnels were narrow and unstable, with rocks that could fall at any moment. Finn moved carefully, feeling the weight of responsibility heavier than ever. Suddenly, a loud noise echoed through the shaft, a warning signal from one of the hunters. Finn froze, listening. The sound was close. Too close. "Hide," he whispered. The children ducked behind a pile of rubble as two hunters entered the shaft. They spoke in harsh voices, their weapons drawn. The hunters searched the area carefully, their boots scraping against the rocks. Finn held his breath, heart pounding. He could feel the children trembling beside him. One hunter moved closer to their hiding spot, shining a bright light. Finn closed his eyes, hoping they would not be found. But then from the shadows, Lyra reached out and touched Finn's arm. Her eyes glowed softly, and suddenly the light flickered and died. The hunters cursed and shouted, confused by the sudden darkness. Using the moment, Finn grabbed the children and slipped away through a narrow tunnel. They ran deeper into the mine, breath heavy and hearts racing. Lyra's strange power had saved them, but Finn knew it was risky to rely on it too much. The children's gifts were mysterious, and using them could attract more danger. After what felt like hours, the tunnel opened into a vast chamber filled with old machinery and broken ships. The spaceport was near. Finn's hope grew stronger. "This is it," he said softly. "If we can fix one of these ships, we can leave Verda behind." The children smiled weakly, their tired faces lighting up for the first time in days. While they rested, Finn explored the chamber. The ships were old and damaged, but some parts looked usable. He began searching for tools and fuel, knowing time was against them. Rin stayed close, watching carefully. "Do you think we will really get away?" he asked. Finn nodded. "I promise I will do everything I can." Mako, who had been silent for a long time, finally spoke. "Why do you care so much?" "You don't have to help us." Finn looked at the boy, surprised. "Because no one should have to live in fear. Because you are not just children. You are the future." The children looked at Finn with new respect. Their bond was growing stronger, but the hunters were not far behind. Dax, the leader, was growing impatient. He knew the children's powers were real. He believed capturing them would make him rich and powerful. Dax gathered his best fighters for a final push. They planned to storm the caves and the spaceport. He was certain Finn could not protect the children forever. That night, as the group prepared to rest, Finn kept watch. The sounds of Verda's wilderness surrounded them. The drip of water, the distant cries of creatures, the wind whispering through the tunnels. He thought about the children's futures and the danger ahead. They were not just running from hunters, they were running toward something much bigger than any of them understood. Rin sat beside Finn, looking up at the flickering lights of the cave crystals. "Human," he said quietly, "do you think we will ever be safe?" Finn smiled gently. "I don't know what the future holds, but I do know one thing. We face it together." The children nodded, comforted by his words. For the first time in a long while, hope filled the dark caves. Morning came slowly, and with it new challenges. Finn prepared the children for the journey to the spaceport. They had little time before the hunters arrived. The path ahead was uncertain, but Finn's resolve was stronger than ever. He would protect the children no matter what. And so, with hearts full of courage, the small group stepped out of the caves, ready to face the dangers of Verda once more. The cave's entrance loomed before them like a dark mouth ready to swallow the small group whole. Finn stood at the threshold, his eyes scanning the horizon. The red sky of Verda was pale now, the sun hidden behind thick clouds. It was a sign that rain might come soon, making the barren landscape even more unforgiving. But Finn had no choice. They had to keep moving. Rin, Mako, Lyra, and Jack gathered behind him, their faces tired but determined. The days in the cave had given them shelter, but also time to think. The hunters were still out there, tracking their every step, and the old spaceport was their only hope. Finn knew the journey ahead was dangerous. The terrain between the cave and the spaceport was rough, filled with jagged rocks, deep ravines, and hostile creatures. The group would have to be careful. Suddenly, a figure stepped out from behind a boulder nearby. Finn raised his hand, ready to defend the children. The stranger raised both hands in peace. "I don't want to fight," the stranger said in a calm voice. Finn studied the figure carefully. She was a woman, dressed in worn armor with a weathered face that told stories of many battles. Her eyes held a tired kindness. "Who are you?" Finn asked, keeping his voice steady. "My name is Sarah," the woman replied. "I used to be one of the hunters." Finn's eyes narrowed. "Why are you here?" Sarah looked away for a moment, then back. "Because I want to help. I am tired of the violence. The hunters don't understand what they are doing." Finn hesitated. Trust was a dangerous thing in a place like Verda, but the woman's honesty felt real. "What do you want from us?" he asked. "To guide you," Sarah said. "I know the land. I can help you reach the spaceport safely, but I need protection. The hunters will see me as a traitor." Finn exchanged a glance with the children. Rin nodded slightly as if sensing the importance of this choice. "All right," Finn said finally. "But if you betray us, we will stop you." Sarah smiled weakly. "Fair enough." The group moved carefully through the rocky terrain, Sarah leading the way. She knew hidden paths and shortcuts that Finn never would have found on his own. The children watched her closely, learning to trust the stranger step by step. As they traveled, Sarah told stories of her past. She had once been proud to work for the hunters, believing in their cause. But over time, she saw the cruelty and greed that drove them. She had left when she realized that the children were innocent and that the hunters wanted to destroy hope itself. Rin asked, "Why do you care about us so much?" Sarah paused, then said softly, "Because I see in you what I lost. Innocence, kindness, the chance for a better life." The children were silent, touched by her words. But trust was not easy to build. Finn kept a close watch on Sarah, testing her with questions and tasks. One afternoon, as they rested near a small stream, a group of hunters suddenly appeared. Sarah's eyes flashed. "They found us." The group prepared to defend themselves. Finn moved to shield the children while Sarah readied her weapon. The hunters were tough and well-armed, but the cave's narrow path limited their numbers. Sarah used her knowledge of the terrain to lead the hunters into traps and dead ends. Lyra's ability to sense danger helped them avoid ambushes. The battle was tense and fast. Finn's quick thinking and the children's unique skills made a difference. Jack, small but strong, surprised everyone by knocking a hunter off balance. Mako used his speed to distract their enemies. In the end, the hunters retreated, but not without promising to return. After the fight, Finn looked at Sarah. "You saved us." Sarah nodded. "I meant what I said. I want to help." The children gathered around, their faces showing a mixture of relief and gratitude. The bond between the group was growing stronger. As night fell, they made camp under the open sky. The stars of Verda shone brightly above, a reminder of the vast galaxy waiting beyond the planet. Finn looked at the children, then at Sarah. "Tomorrow we reach the spaceport," Finn said. Rin smiled faintly. "We will be safe there." Finn hoped she was right. The next day, the journey became harder. The path to the spaceport was guarded by dangerous creatures and unstable ground. Finn and Sarah worked together to keep the children safe. At one point, they crossed a narrow ledge above a deep chasm. Mako slipped, but Finn caught him just in time. The children were tired, but their determination never wavered. Sarah warned them, "The spaceport is old. It may not be easy to use, but it is the only chance." When the ruins of the spaceport finally appeared, the group paused. The buildings were broken and covered in vines. The ships lay rusted and silent. It was not the welcome they had hoped for, but Finn refused to give up. "We will find a way," he said. As they explored the spaceport, Sarah grew quiet. She had been here before and knew its secrets. "There is an underground control room," she explained. "If we can reach it, we might be able to start a ship." The group set off, navigating tunnels and old corridors. The spaceport was full of dangers: collapsed ceilings, broken machinery, and pockets of toxic gas. Finn led the way, careful and steady. The children used their skills to help. Lyra's senses warned them of danger. Rin's strength cleared obstacles. Mako's speed scouted ahead, and Jek's courage inspired them all. Suddenly, the ground shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. The hunters had followed them again. Finn shouted, "Get ready. We must protect the control room." The group formed a circle, standing back to back. Sarah readied her weapon while Finn held a makeshift spear. The children gathered close, their small hands joined. The hunters broke through the entrance, their eyes cold and cruel. But Finn and Sarah fought fiercely. The children used their powers in surprising ways. Lyra created bursts of light that blinded the enemies. Mako darted between them, confusing their aim. Rin pushed with strength beyond his size, and Jek stood firm like a wall. After a long fight, the hunters retreated once more, but the cost was high. The control room was damaged, and Finn feared time was running out. As they repaired the control room, Sarah admitted her fears. The hunters will not stop. They will come back stronger, Finn nodded. Then we must be ready. Together. The children looked at each other, knowing that their journey was far from over. But for the first time, they believed they had a chance. Under the faint glow of the spaceport's emergency lights, Finn made a promise. I will not leave you. We will find a way to escape this place. The children smiled, their hope rekindled. Together they prepared for the final challenge ahead. The old spaceport was silent except for the soft hum of machinery that still worked after years of neglect. Finn and the children worked side by side with Sarah to repair a small cargo ship. The ship was battered and rusty, but it was their only hope of leaving Verda behind. Finn felt a mixture of excitement and fear. The hunters were getting closer and time was running out. Rin carefully handed Finn a tool, watching every move. Do you think the ship will fly? He asked, his voice filled with hope. Finn smiled gently. It has to. We don't have any other choice. Mako wiped the sweat from his forehead and looked around nervously. What if the hunters come back before we finish? Sarah nodded. They will. But we will be ready. The children felt stronger with Sarah by their side. Her knowledge and courage gave them new confidence. Even Jek, the smallest, stood a little taller. The group worked through the night. Finn checked the engine, making sure every part was connected properly. Sarah repaired the ship's navigation system while the children gathered supplies and kept watch for any signs of the hunters. Lyra, who had the strange ability to sense danger, suddenly stopped and listened carefully. Her eyes widened. They are coming, she whispered. Finn's heart raced. Everyone get ready. We don't have much time. The children moved quickly to their hiding places, clutching makeshift weapons. Sarah stood near the ship with her blaster ready. Finn positioned himself to block the entrance to the spaceport. The hunters arrived in force, their vehicles kicking up dust as they stormed the landing area. Dax, the leader, stepped forward, his cold eyes locking onto the small group. You cannot escape, he said. Give me the children, and I will spare your lives. Finn shook his head firmly. We will never let you take them. Dax laughed cruelly. Then you will die, the hunters charged, weapons blazing. The battle was fierce and fast. Finn fought with every ounce of strength he had, protecting the children and Sarah. The children used their special abilities to fight back. Lyra's bursts of light blinded the hunters. Rin's strength knocked enemies aside. Mako's speed confused their attacks, and Jek's courage held the line. Sarah moved like a shadow, taking down hunters with precise shots. Despite the hunters' numbers, the group held their ground. Finn saw an opening and shouted, Now Lyra, use your power. Lyra focused her energy, and a brilliant flash filled the spaceport. The hunters shielded their eyes, giving Finn and the children a chance to run. Go, Finn commanded. The children rushed toward the ship, their hearts pounding. Finn and Sarah covered their retreat, fighting off the remaining hunters. Once aboard the cargo ship, Finn sealed the doors and started the engine. The ancient machine roared to life, shaking and sputtering but ready to fly. Dax cursed from the ground. This is not over, he yelled. We will hunt you across the stars. Finn ignored him and focused on the controls. The ship lifted off unevenly, but soon it was rising above Verda, leaving the red dust and danger behind. The children gathered near the windows, watching the planet shrink below them. Rin smiled for the first time in days. We did it, Mako laughed softly. We are free. Sarah looked at Finn and the children, her eyes shining with hope. You saved me too. As the ship flew into space, Finn checked their course. The nearest human colony was still many days away. They had little fuel and fewer supplies, but they were alive and together. Rin asked, What happens now, human? Finn smiled tiredly. Now we find a safe place. A place where the children can live without fear. Lyra nodded. A home. Jek looked up at Finn. Will you stay with us? Finn placed a hand on Jek's shoulder. I promise I will never leave. The stars outside the ship were bright and endless. The children's faces were filled with wonder and relief. For the first time, they felt like they belonged somewhere. But Finn knew the hunters would not give up easily. Their journey was far from over. He had to be ready for whatever came next. Together, they faced the unknown future, a future full of hope and promise. The stars outside the ship sparkled like tiny diamonds in the black sky. Finn sat beside the children in the small cabin, watching their faces glow with hope. After days of danger and fear, they were finally safe. For now, at least. The hum of the cargo ship's engine was a steady comfort, a reminder they were moving away from the hunters and toward freedom. Rin looked at Finn with wide eyes. "Where will we go now?" Finn smiled softly. "There is a human colony called Nova Terra. It is far from here, but it is a place where you can live without fear." Mako leaned forward. "Is it safe there?" Finn nodded. "It is one of the safest places in this part of space. Many species live there together peacefully." Lyra touched Finn's hand gently. "Thank you for saving us." Finn felt warmth in his chest. "You saved me too." "We saved each other," Jack smiled shyly. "Will we be friends forever?" Finn laughed. "Yes, forever." The journey to Nova Terra was long, but the days passed quickly. The children learned to help on the ship. Rin was good at fixing small machines. Mako kept watch from the cockpit. Lyra studied the stars and navigation. Jack always found ways to make everyone laugh, even in hard times. Sarah stood beside Finn, watching the children with pride. She had never believed in second chances until she met this small family. Now she hoped for a new life with them. One evening, as the ship drifted through a quiet part of space, Sarah spoke softly. "Finn, when we arrive, what will happen to the hunters?" Finn looked out the window. "They will keep hunting if we do nothing. But we can stop them. We must warn the colony." Sarah nodded. "Then we will fight to protect you and others like you." When Nova Terra came into view, a blue and green world shining brightly in the darkness, the children gasped in awe. It was the first time they saw a planet full of life, trees, oceans, and cities. It felt like a dream. The ship landed gently on a clean landing pad. People from many species gathered to welcome them, offering food, warmth, and kindness. Finn felt tears in his eyes. This was the new beginning they had hoped for. The colony leaders listened carefully as Finn explained the danger from the hunters. He told them about the children's special powers and the hunters' greed. The leaders promised help and protection. Rin asked, "Will they still come after us?" One leader smiled kindly. "Not here. We have strong defenses and we will make sure you are safe." Mako nodded, feeling relief. "We can finally live without fear." Lyra's eyes shone. "We can grow and learn." Jack hugged Finn tightly. "Thank you, human." In the days that followed, the children began to learn and explore. They attended school, made new friends, and discovered their powers could be used for good. Finn helped them adjust, proud of how brave and kind they were. Sarah found a new purpose as a protector of the colony. She trained with the guards and helped build defenses against the hunters. One night, as the stars shone brightly overhead, Finn stood with the children on a hill overlooking the colony. "We are safe now," he said. Rin smiled. "Thanks to you." Finn looked at each child. "No thanks to all of you. You taught me what courage really means." But even in this peaceful place, the past was not forgotten. Messages arrived from other planets warning of hunters searching for the children. Finn and Sarah knew they had to stay strong. "We will protect this home," Sarah said fiercely. "Together," the children nodded. Together. Time passed and the children grew stronger. They used their powers to help others, becoming heroes in their new world. Finn watched with pride as they changed from frightened children into leaders of hope. One day the colony received a message. The hunters had been captured and their leaders brought to justice. The threat was ending. Rin laughed. "We did it," Mako smiled. "We are free." Lyra looked at Finn. "This is our home." Jack jumped up. "And we are a family." Finn hugged them all. "Yes, a family."